What do the atomic bomb, quantum physics, and a strip club in Las Vegas have in common? They were all, at one point, part of a day's work for one of the most brilliant, charismatic, and downright fascinating minds of the 20th century. A man who didn't just solve the universe's deepest mysteries, but did it with a glint of mischief in his eye. A Nobel Prize winner who was also a master safecracker, an artist, and a relentless explorer. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into the life and mind of Richard Phillips Feynman. This isn't just a story about a physicist. This is the story of a mindset. A story about how insatiable curiosity, playful skepticism, and a deep love for the beauty of nature can change the world. He thought about thinking in a way that changed science forever. But this hands-off approach to learning would almost get him expelled before he even finished high school. Wait until you hear why. So, buckle up, because understanding Feynman is like getting a backstage pass to the greatest show in the cosmos. Let's start at the beginning. Long before the bongos and the Nobel, there was just a curious kid from far Rockaway, New York. Richard's genius was nurtured by his father, Melville, a uniform salesman. Melville didn't drill young Richie with facts. He taught him to see the story behind everything. He'd say, "See that bird? You can know all its names in every language, but you still know nothing about the bird." The lesson was profound. Knowing the name of something is not the same as understanding it. Richard took that to heart. He turned his bedroom into a lab, fixing broken radios just to understand the why. He taught himself calculus for fun. By the time he got to MIT, he was a force of nature. He'd tear apart established theories to rebuild them from the ground up. This became his signature, a ruthless, intuitive clarity. In 1943, that raw power was summoned for the most urgent project in history, the Manhattan Project at Los Alamos. They were building an atomic bomb. Feynman, in his mid-20s, was a key troubleshooter. And here, in this pressure cooker of secrecy, Feynman's personality exploded. He became the project's intellectual troubleshooter and its chief prankster. He'd crack classified safes to prove a point and leave cheeky notes inside. Yet, amidst the pranks, he performed a calculation so vital it was the difference between a successful test and a catastrophic dud. And he did it while grieving a devastating personal loss. While his mind was solving chain reaction problems, his heart was breaking. His great love, Arlene, was dying of tuberculosis hundreds of miles away. He married her knowing their time was short. She passed away in 1945, just weeks before the first atomic test. The brilliant, laughing young man carried a profound private sorrow. This duality, the jester and the mourner, would define him. After the war, at Cornell University, Feynman felt his creative spark was gone. He famously decided to just play with physics, to have fun without worrying about importance. And from that play came his single greatest gift to science: Feynman diagrams. Before this, calculations in quantum electrodynamics were a nightmare of abstract, convoluted math. Feynman had a eureka moment. What if, instead of pages of impossible integrals, you could just draw the interaction? Little lines and squiggles for particles meeting. These weren't just pictures, they were a direct recipe for the mathematics. This doodle was so revolutionary, many senior physicists thought it was a joke, but it would soon become the most powerful tool in particle physics and win him the ultimate prize. For this work, Feynman won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1965. True to form, he was irreverent, initially considering refusing the honor. He accepted, but gave a famously candid lecture, insisting on explaining the core ideas simply. This brings us to perhaps his most enduring legacy, his role as the great explainer. He could strip away complexity and reveal the stunning, simple beauty at the heart of nature's laws. His famous lectures at Caltech are a monument to this. He didn't talk down, he took students on an adventure. He gave us the Feynman technique for learning. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. But his quest for clear understanding wasn't confined to the classroom. It would lead him to investigate a national tragedy and, in a stunning public moment, show the world exactly what went wrong. In 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded. Feynman was reluctantly persuaded to join the Presidential Commission to find out why. He grew frustrated with the bureaucratic process. So he went directly to the engineers, and he found a critical piece of information. The rubber O-rings, crucial seals on the rocket boosters, lost elasticity in cold weather. The launch day was freezing. During a televised hearing, Feynman didn't just present a report, he performed a simple, devastating experiment. He took a sample of the O-ring material, clamped it, and submerged it in a glass of ice water. It didn't spring back. It stayed deformed. He looked into the camera and said, "I believe that has some significance for our problem." In 1 minute, with a glass of ice water, he made a catastrophic technical failure viscerally clear to the entire nation. It was the ultimate Feynman moment. No jargon, just undeniable physical truth. So, was Feynman just a physicist? Absolutely not. He was a living argument against narrow specialization. He saw the whole world as his playground. He taught himself to draw well enough for an art show. He became a proficient bongo player. He cracked Mayan codes, studied hypnotism, and worked in topless bars, claiming it was relaxing. He pursued passions not as distractions, but as essential fuel for creativity. He believed that true creativity required a mind constantly stimulated by the strange and the new. This boundless curiosity is what made him a cultural icon. His autobiographical books became bestsellers. People weren't just buying science, they were buying a way of life, a life of relentless questioning, joyful skepticism, and authentic engagement with the world. Richard Feynman died in 1988. His last words were said to be, "I'd hate to die twice. It's so boring." Even at the end, it was about the experience, the novelty. So, what do we take from him? More than the diagrams or the Nobel, his true legacy is a framework for thinking. First, cultivate a beginner's mind. Question everything. Second, embrace the joy of finding things out. The aha moment should be a source of pleasure. Third, seek real understanding, not just knowledge. Tear ideas apart until you can explain them simply. Fourth, stay irreverently curious. Let your interests wander. Art, music, lockpicking, it all feeds the creative engine. This mindset sounds beautiful, but it begs a difficult question. In our age of information overload and hyper-specialization, is it even possible to live like Feynman anymore? Feynman once said, "The highest forms of understanding we can achieve are laughter and human compassion." He saw no contradiction between the profound and the playful. For him, the universe was a stage for the most fantastic drama. He taught us that science isn't a collection of facts, it's a detective story, a love affair with the unknown. He showed us that the smartest person in the room isn't the one with all the answers, but the one asking the most interesting questions. The courage to say, "I don't know, but I'm going to find out," and to have a blast doing it. So, the next time you look up at the stars or face a difficult problem, channel a little Feynman. Be skeptical, be playful. Find the joy in the figuring out. Because Richard Feynman's greatest lesson was lived, and it's this: a life of curiosity is not just a smarter life, it's a richer, funnier, and infinitely more exciting one.